Okay, so I'll start with an experience that I had in about my first 6 months at Aligned, which shook me because it was a very unexpected thing that happened to me that was out of my control. Yeah, so basically it was a Thursday afternoon. I think I was tired already because it was quite a meeting heavy morning, and I had just gotten off a call with a very overwhelmed, wife who was dealing with her husband being at the end of his life. And, she was just unraveling. And I happened to be on the receiving end of her frustration, her pain. And I thought contained her. And, at the end of the call, she was calmer. She felt, less overwhelmed, she said. And, I felt good. I felt fulfilled. I felt like, oh, okay, I guess I'm doing good at my job because this is, what I'm here to do. Um, and I thought I was fine, and I was quite happy and proud of myself. And then I went into a Zoom meeting, I think about like 10 minutes after that call. And the only person in the meeting at that time was the host. And so me and the host were just chatting while waiting for other people to join the meeting. And just politely, she asked me, how are you? How are you doing? And I burst into tears. So that was like, what? In the moment, I think I was surprised, but also I was embarrassed. And at the same time, I kind of felt safe. So I continued to cry. I switched my camera off and I cried while, she just encouraged me to let it out. And at that point, she didn't know why I was crying because she had just asked me how I was. Um, and I didn't know why I was crying. So other people started joining the meeting, and, the host was just sharing with everyone as they came in that, okay, can we just have like a moment of silence just to contain, Kay and her feelings. She's, going through something. And, everybody gave me a moment. Everybody gave me grace. And when I eventually was able to contain myself and actually speak, there was a safe space for me to just speak my thoughts, my feels. And that's something that I have never been comfortable with, like expressing my feelings to other people. I'm usually the person that people come to and people can confide in, but I usually handle my own things my own way myself. So just being that vulnerable and in a workspace was like very scary for me. But that's one of the things that I appreciate so much about being at Align, because that is encouraged. And coming from, a psychology background, studying psychology and counseling and communication, we learn about burnout and how it can creep up on you, and it might not look the way you think it looks. You might picture burnout as like you're exhausted or you're sad, but like I experienced burnout in what I would describe as my happiest time, where I was, super energetic, going to the gym and, going out, more social. But I didn't realize I was burnt out emotionally. And that kind of made me realize that, in the space that we work, where we are there to take care of other people, we might forget that we need to take care of ourselves. And I think that moment where I unexpectedly broke down because I thought I was happy and I thought I was good made me realize that there's a spectrum. Being good doesn't mean that you have to be 100% good. You might be at 10% today, and tomorrow you're at 70, and it goes up and down. And it's important to check in with yourself. And I've made it a habit now to do more of those check-ins with myself. And I love that there's a culture at Aligned where there are spaces for that, spaces to debrief, spaces to breathe, spaces to move. And, if you're into fitness like me, there's a space to like release whatever energy you might not realize you're holding in. And I think it's so beautiful that it's encouraged, and there's different spaces for that. Like for the care partners, we even have a channel called CP's Happy Place where we just share memes and, funny things that happen throughout the day. And as much as our work is not happy work, it's when I describe to someone what a care partner does and what I do on a daily basis, they're like, wow, that sounds depressing. And, it is difficult work, but I think the whimsical environment that Aligned creates makes that sad work like a lot easier to carry, because it can get heavy sometimes. And if you are not checking in with yourself and you're brushing those difficult cases to the back of your mind and you're like, oh, it's work, it's fine. Yeah, you are doing yourself a injustice. And I think it impacts the way we show up, because if you aren't full, if your cup is not full, you can't pour into somebody else's cup. And our work as care partners and caregivers, it requires a lot of pouring into other people. And that's why it's so, so important to make sure that your cup is full and to take the time to do things that fill up your cup. And like, even that sense of just having people that you can talk to, or people who check in with you as well. Because like, the experience that I had after that meeting, somebody else reached out to me and said, hey, I don't know what, caused you to feel that emotional, but if you want to have a chat with me, I'm here. And, that's also something that I personally would have not accepted. I would have been like, oh no, I'm fine. But like, now that I'm in a space like Aligned where it's normal to talk to people about what you're going through and have someone listen to you and help you reflect. And so even in that space, having that conversation with that person and having like an energy breathing session as well. And we didn't even have to talk, actually, was another way for me to learn new ways to take care of myself. And now those ways are part of my daily routine. When I'm having a moment, I breathe, I check in with myself, I make sure that I move, like do something for me. And even if it's like a walk outside, and like I always have to make sure that that's kind of part of my job, because taking care of myself is part of me being able to give our patients and their families the best quality of care as well. So, and I think subconsciously, growing up, maybe I took on like the idea of being like, a strong Black woman. And, even in my language in Sepedi, there's a saying that Mosadi o tshwara thipa ka bogaleng, which means a woman holds a knife on the sharp end. And like I think subconsciously, like it's like I'm wired to feel like I'm the one who's supposed to take care of everyone and I'm supposed to be strong. And I love that at Aligned, there's space to be vulnerable and to lean on other people. And, even in the patient support lens, like that is a big part of us as a team. You can always ask someone else if you're feeling overwhelmed, even with work, even if it's not personal, if you just feel like I've got so much admin, people are always ready to jump in and help because teamwork makes the dream work. But yeah, those are my thoughts. And yeah.